Hello, Dylan. It was so good to see you on Sunday. Yeah, that was a fun time. Um, I'm just gonna jump into it because I don't know how long Lewis is gonna be okay. I mean, he's probably gonna be fine. I put him to sleep and I've got the monitor going off screen to keep an eye on him. But anyway, to start, I guess I think I have my microphone figured out and I think I've got a good lighting setup for once in my life. And now that I'm talking, I'm hearing the banjos resonate behind me. So if there's a weird tinny echo, I guess that just means I still have room to improve, which is good. You never want to feel like you're at the top. So, to respond to your video about Aragorn's speech, it was really good. I was impressed, of course, that you knew that whole thing word for word. That was well done. It was a funny situation, though, that it was supposed to be like this really loud and bolsterous, I don't even think that's a word, but like a really big moment in the speech, and you had to be like so small and quiet because of the sleeping baby. That just made for a very definitionally ironic situation. Um, anyway, that was good. It brings to mind some questions for me, similar to like the stute hert to a stay bray. I really always go to like, oh, how does this play into my life? So my questions are like, what are the ways for me to stand my ground? What are the things that I should not put off? And to think today is not that day of putting things off. Today is the day to fight, whatever. And then the other question is, what are ways that I can or should be motivational and encouraging? Because that's part of it, right? I want to be like Aragorn. I want to be motivational and encouraging. But like, what does that look like in my life? And I'm not sure exactly. I think it could be getting involved in ministry somehow, but I really want to take it to like where I'm at today. And so maybe that's being more intentional in my music lessons to motivate and encourage them, which I generally try to do, but maybe I can do it more intentionally and more holistically rather than just about piano stuff or one song or one passage. I can be like, hey, you can do hard things. You're not lazy. These are things that I've said before to certain students, but I think I can do maybe more of that. So maybe that's my answer to the first question. And then what are the ways for me to stand my ground? That implies that there's some threatening my ground. And what does that look like in my life? What are the threats? I think there's always some sort of societal pressure to like bend the rules or like not stay true to your morals or ethics. Like, oh, it's fine. It's a white lie. Oh, nobody's going to notice if you take that. I mean, they're stealing from you anyway. That's maybe something I felt about college or the government, and stuff like that. But there really is value and eternal worth in sticking to your morals and ethics and standing your ground to do the right thing and do it now instead of putting it off or letting it slide this one time, which never is just one time. So yeah, that's still pretty abstract though. I guess that's just something to think about. I need to maybe journal that and figure out the specifics. But that is where my mind goes. And there's always a list of things that I could be doing today. I mean, you should see my to-do list. So that's where my mind goes when I think, what do I need to do today, where it's not the day of putting things off. But I don't know. That's all of my thoughts about that. Which is to say, it was very thought-provoking. Great video. Nice work. Today is going to be a episode about a letter. Kind of. That's kind of like, I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of a story and a bit of a letter, but my premise was this letter that I threatened to talk about last time I made an episode. This is a letter from Dostoyevsky to this lady named Natalia von Vizina, and all of a sudden I have the intrusive thought that this isn't recording. Hold on. Okay, we're good. All right. So yeah, he writes this letter to Natalia von Vizina, and this was written after a time that Dostoyevsky spent in a Siberian prison, which sounds pretty bad. But he experienced a lot of deep spiritual transformation during that time. I didn't look into it very much. But yeah, it's kind of, here's the theme of this episode, is when facts disagree with your faith, what do you do? So here's an excerpt. It says, "I will tell you that I am a child of this century, a child of unbelief and doubt. To this day, and even, I know this, to the end of my life. What frightful torments this thirst to believe has cost me, and continues to cost me. The stronger it becomes in my soul, the stronger are the arguments against it. And despite all this, God sends me moments of calm, moments in which I love and feel loved by others. And it is during these moments that I have formed for myself a creed, where everything is clear and holy to me. This creed is very simple. Here it is. To believe that there is nothing more beautiful, profound, sympathetic, reasonable, courageous, and perfect than Christ. And not only is there nothing, but I say to myself with jealous love that there could never be. More than that, if anyone were to prove to me that Christ was outside the truth, and it really was that the truth was outside of Christ, I would prefer to remain with Christ than with the truth." Again, thought-provoking. I think my main thought was like, well, belief in God sort of is the same as believing that nothing can disprove his existence. So even entertaining this, call it a thought experiment, that your faith has been disproven, can easily become circular in some ways. But, it's a thought experiment. So let's experiment a little bit. What would you do if, I don't know, say Joseph Smith descends from the sky and was like, "Hey guys, I was right." I don't know. That's a stupid example. But like, what if something like that happened? Or maybe it's not even, maybe it's more like The Good Place, where it's like people kind of got close. This one guy got really close, but nobody got it 100% right, in terms of like what was cosmically true and like what religion was right. Like, what if you were presented with concrete evidence in that direction? What do you do? Do you reject the cognitive dissonance and dig your heels deeper? Do you accept the facts? And what would cause you to go either of those directions? I think it's a matter of priorities. If your priority is to be intellectually consistent and integrous, then I guess you would have to go with the evidence. But if you hold the importance of your faith over the importance of intellectual integrity, then you do the former. But like, how do you balance that? Because you want to have both, right? I don't know. Maybe you could sound off in the comments. But it makes me think of, where does this concept of cognitive dissonance come from? Like, where was that term coined and everything? And it's an interesting story that I heard a while ago. And it comes from this situation, which is also a religious story. And there was this doomsday cult in the 50s led by Dorothy Martin, a.k.a. Marion Keech. And she predicted there was going to be a flood on December 21st, 1954. I think that's a solstice. I don't think that's relevant. Anyway, her followers, she gained like a following because of this prediction. And I think she became sort of cult leader-esque. And they also had this belief that they would be saved by aliens in a spaceship before the flood came. And when the prophecy failed, many followers rationalized that their faith had not, that like they were not wrong, but in fact that their faith in this prediction is what saved the world from this flood. A little bit paradoxical, I know. But that situation and the people who maintained this belief despite evidence to the contrary. This situation was studied by a guy named Leon Festinger, and it was him who kind of really laid the foundation for the concept of cognitive dissonance, and this idea that when you're presented with facts that are to the contrary of your deeply held beliefs, you will modify your beliefs or dig in deeper and say, well, like those facts are wrong somehow, type of thing. And it's widely seen and evidenced that this is a thing that happens, cognitive dissonance. I don't know. You're probably familiar with it all. But it just raises questions. Like, how would you react? How would I react? And I just don't know. I think where I'm at today, I firmly believe that that wouldn't happen. That evidence comes to light, like irrefutable, incontrovertible evidence that Christ is outside of truth, as Dostoyevsky puts it, and truth is outside of Christ. Yeah. Maybe this video doesn't have a good conclusion, but it's something to think about, I suppose, and something I want to think about more. But yeah, anyway, that's what I have for you today. I hope you're doing well. Say hi to Luna only. Just kidding. Say hi to Winston and the Crystal Wife and everybody else that I don't know. All the guys at the farm say Ryan says you're doing great. And they're going to be like, who's Ryan? What are you talking about? And you can just say, that's fine. Don't worry. Anyway, have a good day. Okay, bye.